welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Delfino. Joining me tonight is Nick Face. Nick's the guy who hates losing so much. If he were in the Yankees dugout tonight, he'd be firing people like Oprah hands out cars. You're gone? You're gone? Hot dog guy
Mhm.
gone in section 209? You're gone too. He's passionate to the point where if the Sox give up a run in the first inning, he doesn't just get mad, he starts composing a 37 tweet thread about why life is meaningless. He's like the Red Sox version of Bill Burr in traffic, loud, angry, and somehow still hilarious. If Nick Face managed the Yankees, they would be under 500. They would just be under sedation. Also joining me tonight is Thayer Doyle. Thayer loves the Red Sox almost as much as Yankee fans love booing their own players. He's the guy who watches Boston blow a lead against the Orioles and immediately breaks into teacher mode. All right, class, let's go over what we just learned. One, don't throw the ball in the stands. Two, don't run the bases like you're chasing an ice cream truck. If Thayer were managing the Yankees, he'd have the whole team lined up against the dugout wall writing, I will not strike out with runners in scoring position. I will not strike out with runners in scoring position. 100 times on the chalkboard. He doesn't get mad. He assigns homework. Let's get into it. Your Boston Red Sox are now 75 and 60, somehow sitting one game ahead of the Yankees for the AL's top wildcard spot, which means they're basically doing that sketchy walk home at midnight through a bad neighborhood shuffle, clenching their lead like it's a half-eaten burrito they don't want to share. Trevor Story strolls up in the first and basically says, "Hold my beer, I got this," then rips a solo homer to start things off. Easy, no drama. Meanwhile, the Orioles are probably still stretching. Then Rob Refschneider, fresh off the IL, hasn't swung a bat in weeks, goes, "Oh, that looks fun. Let me try," and immediately launches 1-2. The man comes back from injury and hits a bomb on his first day like he's Babe Ruth reincarnated with better health insurance. If he played golf, he'd shoot an 18. One stroke, whole course, go home. Did the Orioles answer? Well, kind of. Alex Jackson hit his fourth homer of the year, which honestly was pretty adorable. Like, hey guys, look, I can hit one too. Fast forward to the eighth, the game's tied, sweat is dripping. Then Romy Gonzalez sneaks in with an RBI single, scoring Roman Anthony. Ninja mode activated. Sox reclaim the lead 3-2, and Sox Nation collectively breathes for the first time all game. Of course, because nothing can be simple, Steve Matz shows up in the ninth like a guy hired to burn the place down. Immediately gives up a double to Carlson, and Red Sox Nation is like, oh, here we go, cue the disaster movie music. But then Alex Jackson grounds out to Trevor Story, who pulls off some freak circus act stab and feeds to Bregman at third to nail Carlson. Totally unreal. It's like watching your drunk uncle turn a faceplant into a cartwheel. Meanwhile, Garrett Crochet actually pitched great. 6 innings, 2 runs, 7 strikeouts. Dude deserved a win, but instead he gets an MLB version of a participation trophy. Jordan Hicks waddles in for relief, somehow gets the win, and yes, I'm as shocked as you are. Steven Matz gets his second save, which is hilarious because I still don't believe what actually happened. Final score 3-2. And yes, they swept the Orioles in 4 games like a cleaning service that doesn't just vacuum, they take your lunch money and your self respect too. So it is time for Nick Face's word of the day.
And now it's time for Nick Face's Word of the Day.
Nick, floor's all yours.
Sweep. That is word of the day. What a difference a week makes, gentlemen, when the Red Sox lost both games last week at Fenway. Orioles swept them. So now the Red Sox sweep the Orioles. It is sweet karma on how that all went down. But I do have to say another word that I thought of today that could have also been word of the day was lucky. Boy, did we get lucky this series because the offense is still nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. I mean, we're lucky to score 2-3 runs a game right now and sneak by with our victories. Where would we be without our stud starting pitching right now and a lockdown bullpen? That is what it is right now, because this offense just can't. They still can't do anything, and they're still scare the life out of me on how this is going to even be playoff bound. I don't know. I don't know. I'll take every win that they can. I'm very happy with the sweep, but I'm still very pessimistic here on where September and everything is going to lead, because you are just skating by, just barely getting those wins. Last night, that was insane how that game got won, because you have your two buffoons in the outfield who can't communicate, Duran and Rafaela. Oh, you going to catch the ball? Oh, no. Are you going to catch the ball? Oh, it dropped on the ground. And then they come up to the plate in the ninth inning. Duran, who I've been criticizing all season, hits a nice smacker to left field. Lo and behold, he goes the opposite way. It was almost like they were listening to me. They were listening to me being critical of them, and finally coming through and doing something to, I guess, last night, in a way, that was a get out of jail free card, because that would have been our conversation probably last night, or probably into tonight, talking about how that miscommunication in the outfield led to a potential loss. But they came up, they delivered, and that came off the board. It got kind of washed away. And then today, Crochet was not his best. We're going to get into that. But the Red Sox are able to get the job done with some timely hitting, with expectations probably at their least expected from players stepping in to getting the job done. I'll take a sweep. I'm sure you guys will take the sweep. And sweep is word of the day.
Yeah, I mean, look, the bottom line here is you did what you needed to do. They lost both games at Fenway Park, which, Nick, I'll give you the credit for calling that one, even though we hated the fact that you were right, but it is the truth. They went into Yankee Stadium. I wanted a 4-game sweep. And after you won the first game, I really thought it was a realistic expectation because you had your pitching lineup pretty good. Now you go to this Baltimore series, and look, I don't care what team it is. It's very hard to win a 4-game sweep, whether you're at home, on the road, and no matter who the opponent is, good, bad, or indifferent. The fact that they went and did this in Baltimore is a testament to their resilience. They're mentioned that on the podcast many times. But at the end of the day, you needed to win against garbage teams, and you provided that outcome. Thayer, your initial reactions for this week's series, yesterday, today, and so forth?
Absolutely thrilled that they got the sweep. They played well enough to win. We'll say that. One thing that this last 8-game series has sort of told us is that we have been absolutely right. The American League is atrocious. The teams we're facing are all flawed. And as Red Sox fans, we watch the Sox so much, we sort of have this feeling, and it's true, just how flawed our team is. And we saw those flaws sort of rear their head at certain times in this 4-game series. However, the difference was Baltimore's flaws were much worse than ours, and they came back to bite them. So I am very happy with the outcome. I am going to talk a couple of weeks ago about positivity. I am positive the Red Sox are going to make the playoffs. So just like Nick, my concern now is how do we get there? What team are we going in with? And what are we going to do when we get there? We need to have home field advantage. So we cannot blow this top seed. We have to stay there. How are we going to do it? Nick's absolutely right. The starting pitching, phenomenal. The back end of our bullpen, phenomenal.
Awesome.
The underside, the underbelly, we have issues there. Hopefully Slayton will be able to do some stuff with that. We'll see. One thing that I do like is that they're coming through in the clutch. The home runs that they hit this week were really impressive and important. However, when you sort of sit down and look at it, a lot of their runs, in fact, most of them came because of home runs. Those you cannot rely on when you're sort of talking about playoff baseball. And also the other thing is their at-bats. They're still making very, very foolish, attempts at certain pitches. They struck out 11 times on Monday, 11 times on Tuesday, 7 times yesterday, 8 times today. And this is an Orioles rotation that is 10th out of 15 teams in the American League in strikeouts. They're not a team that's going to blow you away. In their ERA, they're 13th out of 15. We're not scoring an awful lot of runs to Nick's credit. What he was saying. So what I need to see is more of what we got on Tuesday towards the end of that game where people were moving men over. Another thing that sort of goes by the wayside today is Trevor Story, with one out and a man on first base, made contact. He grounded weakly to the right side, but it moved Anthony to second base. Romy Gonzalez got his base hit. We won the game. Earlier on in this series, we've been seeing an awful lot of squanders. I love Anthony, but he has got to put the ball in play when he comes up with men on second base and no outs. Pull the ball. At least twice, maybe 3 times this series, he has struck out with a man on second base and no outs. We have to have contact. And as a team I'm a team without a lot of star power and a lot of talent, they need to be far more productive and make their outs count because they're not going to get all those hits. 7 hits, 9 hits, 7 hits, 8 hits. You're not going to bludgeon people to death, especially in the playoffs. So the key to winning in playoff games is pitching and productive outs, and that's what they have to work on.
Yeah, the other thing is when I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but, just a couple things. The way that the Red Sox have done against the AL East outside of Toronto has been pretty good. I mean, they're 9-2 against the Yankees, or 8-2 or 8-3, something like that. I think they're also, if I'm reading this correctly, 8-2 against the Rays. They had a 4-game sweep with them. They got 4 games here against the Orioles. I think we were 5-1 before last weekend's 2-game series. So that took some 5-3. It's 9-3 now, or something like that. So they fared pretty well against the American League East outside of Toronto. So, I mean, obviously that's good. And Thayer, you did kind of comment on the back end of the bullpen. I think, Nick, you did too. But what I want to do is kind of switch gears a little bit to that and talk about the fact that Rob Refschneider, who was in today's game, hit a home run, as I mentioned in the monologue, and also Justin Slayton, who didn't get into today's game but was activated as well. My initial take and gut reaction here is I feel very good about the fact that Justin Slayton is back here, providing he's still the Justin Slayton that we, have come to feel is very reliable in that pen. But if you've got him and this probably even just as good version of Whitlock, if not better than 21, and I say that because I think these 1-inning stints for Whitlock are absolutely what the doctor ordered. He's going to stay fresher. He's going to have less pitches, and he's going to be having more availability. And then, of course, Aroldis Chapman, and I've got a segment on him later on. But, Thayer, I'll start with you. Talk to me about what Justin Slayton's going to provide us in this bullpen moving forward over the next 27 games and in the playoffs.
As long as he's capable of getting back to his old form, I think he's going to be probably one of the most important additions coming down the stretch. As we've talked about, we have an 8 and 9 inning lockdown. What we're lacking and what we sort of saw today when we have to bring in Hicks into a situation, everybody's blood pressure rises, including his own. And that's not something you need. Slayton is crucial. If Slayton can turn this into a 6-inning ball game, then the Red Sox have every opportunity to do something in the playoffs. Because when you have Crochet and the way Bayo's especially been pitching and Giolito, if you can get 6 innings out of them, and they've been showing that they're capable of doing that on a relatively regular basis, if you're going 6, then 7, 8, 9, you have a very, very good opportunity to take ball games. And that's going to be the most important thing.
Yeah, and then it allows Core to mix and match a little bit with Wilson and even Matz if we have to, depending how many lefties they're going to have on that roster. Nick, same question to you. Justin Slayton, does he turn our bullpen into the best in the American League?
Oh, absolutely. this is a massive win for the Red Sox getting Justin Slayton back. I don't care what he looks like right now. What I love on this is now this takes the pressure off of a Greg Weissert. This takes the pressure now off of Jordan Hicks. This takes the pressure off of a Steven Matz and even Whitlock as well too, because I think we don't want to see Whitlock be throwing every day. We want to see him throw, a game, one inning, maybe a day off, throw again, and stay on that pattern. This is a special bullpen, guys. And I know, Jim, how you talk about your 90s bullpen when it was it Norm Charlton and all those guys that were out there. I get a little of the 2007-ish kind of vibe here with this bullpen. When you had your Papelbon, your Okajima, your Del Carmen, your Harvey Lopez, that kind of thing. Even Mike Timlin's name was still a part of that. That's what I see. This adds so much depth. And if I was an opposing team, I'd be scared because your bullpen is the best in the American League. I don't care that the Yankees built a super pen and it's been destroyed. I love what I see here. And I know we're probably going to be talking about him later, but we haven't talked about Chapman. We haven't. And we are going to save that probably up to a little bit later. But it's historic what he's doing right now. Historic. Now for Rob Refsnyder. That was a shock today to see what he did. He didn't even get a rehab assignment. Whoop, no problem. Boom, gone. No problem. Nice little single up the middle. That's the professional veteran style player that Rob Refsnyder is. I think they were joking on the broadcast. I think it was Merloni that said, boy, if the rest of the league were just all left-handed, Rob Refsnyder would be the MVP of the league. It's a valid point because he just rakes on left-handed pitching. And Rob Refsnyder is a big mentor, remember this, to a lot of the players on this team. In particular, his other lefty or right-handed lefty assassin, that's Romy Gonzalez. Those two have really worked hard together in the cage, trying to be as professional as they can. And that's what I feel like Rob Refsnyder is. He's a true professional. He's a grinder. He's a hustler. He's going to do whatever it takes to be a team player. And that's something that I'm sure has helped this clubhouse tremendously with the younger guys coming up, your Roman Anthony's, your Marcelo Myers, your Carlos Navarez, all those types of guys. They feed off of that and they see the leadership and they see what he does on a day-by-day basis to be a professional major league player. So that's a huge boost to this team, putting him back in there, whether it's on the bench, whether he's pinch hitting, whether he's playing or whatnot. You got two really good pieces right here, almost like they're like a trade deadline pickup kind of thing, because they're both back and they're going to be productive and help this team down the stretch here.
Yeah, great points. I mean, Rob Refsnyder, I'm a big fan of his. I always have been. His ability to just be the consummate professional. And the idea here is that if you can keep him in that role, whereby he is the guy that your fourth outfielder, the guy you're going to rely on when you've got a left-handed starter or you've got someone coming out of the bullpen left-handed and you want to pinch hit him. Those are the roles where I feel he's going to excel. I mean, case in point today, he didn't have a lot of exposure and he had a great game, had the home run. It's when these guys, and Thayer brought this up many times before, it's when they play too much, that's when they get exposed. So, if you can hold that trump card more than you need to, that's when you're going to get the best out of most of these players. So that's very, very important. We do have some breaking news, which I want to get to now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news!
So it is known, I'm sure most people already do know, that Peyton Tolley has been given a promotion to the Major League roster, and he will be starting tomorrow night in Fenway Park against one of the best pitchers, young pitchers that the league and the all of Major League Baseball has seen, Paul Skeens. That's going to be a very entertaining evening tomorrow night. Nick, your take.
I'm ecstatic, but here's the little interesting thing, and I know we were kind of talking about this off air. Peyton Tolley should have started today, and then Garrett Crochet should have started tomorrow. I mentioned this on the Monday show because I think we were starting to hear a little bit of rumblings going on about what they're going to do with the rotation coming up. We were all shocked that Kyle Harrison wasn't your Monday starter. Let's still go back to that. And it ended up being Bernardino as your opener there. And, Richard Fitz threw and, did a serviceable job, then got hurt. I am surprised that it's going to be this stage against Paul Skeens here. Right now, Paul Skeens is one of the best pitchers, if not one of the best players in baseball, pitching for the Pirates. If you don't know who he is, he's pitching for a horrible team. Let's make sure that we understand that. He's 8-9 on the season with a 2.03 ERA. I mean, it's going to be almost like, I forget the year it was, but Felix Hernandez, when he was with Seattle, when he had a losing record, ended up winning the Cy Young, and it just a absolute stud. This is a big stage for him. It's a Friday night game, playoffs are here, playoff atmosphere, up against one of the best. Let's see what he has. I'm not going to say too much on this because I kind of want to be surprised and I kind of want to enjoy this and let him do his thing and be successful with it. And if it all goes well, my desire here is to see him be a part of this rotation for the rest of the season into the playoffs here. Before I go over to Thayer, I just want to make sure that people know that this guy was just elevated to Worcester. Okay, right now he was 1-1 with a 3.60 ERA. He's through 3 games. He threw 15 innings. Gave up 11 hits, 7 runs. 6 of those were earned. Gave up 2 home runs, and he struck out 17. He had a whip of 0.864, 867, excuse me. In Portland, that's where he was 1-1, and then he also started the year in Greenville. So he's been elevated quite a bit this season, and this just shows organizationally how much faith they have in the Piglet. Oink, oink.
Yeah, very good points. One of the things about Tolley, and I wonder if there is something with Harrison. There's not a lot been talked about this because it's been a lot of Peyton Tolley talk, but it just seems a little odd to me. I mean, I'll just call it an odd take, but he was scratched from his start. We all thought that he was going to get the promotion. And then out of the clear blue, it's Bernardino starting that game as an opener. And you haven't heard much about Harrison, I don't believe, since then. So was there a little injury that we don't know about? I'm surprised it just hasn't come up in any conversation. As far as I know, he hasn't pitched since then, since the scratch. So
I think what they're concerned about with Kyle Harrison is control.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest piece here. And I think organizationally, they don't want to elevate him to the major leagues until he gets a spring training under his belt with Andrew Bailey, with a whole new foundation and fundamentals on how to get his control back. Let's make sure we understand this. This whole pitching system that they have, they can fix things. Let's look at Aroldis Chapman in general. Here's a guy that was walking so many players throughout his career, and he's throwing everything down Broadway here and is coming up gold. So they fixed something there on Chapman. Maybe they can fix something with Harrison with a little bit more work.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that being said, with Peyton Tolley Thayer, I want to get your reactions. Do you think before I ask you the question, I think Peyton Tolley is the first guy in quite some time to have his first season of professional baseball and be brought up to the major leagues since like Jared Weaver, I believe, if I'm right on that. Thayer, do you think this is a great idea on the Red Sox to have Tolley go against a guy like Skeens? You know, I mean, is this too much pressure to start your career?
I'm torn on this one. So let me just say that if this were under the regime of Theo Epstein, if it was, under the previous ownership, or not previous owner, but previous regime, I would say yes, absolutely. I have complete and utter faith in these people that are running the show, that they totally understand the makeup of this kid and believe that putting him into this situation in a spot against someone that is talented as Skeens is going to be beneficial for him. I don't trust Breslow. I don't trust the front office. I don't trust ownership. I'm worried that this is a publicity scheme. Oh, here we have this guy coming in. Let's put our guy against him. Let's sell all the tickets we can. Let's hype it all up. Let's get all of people talking about us for a change. And this is their way of doing it. That's my concern. As a baseball fan, I'm excited for this. I absolutely am. As a baseball fan, I really wanted to see Crochet and Skeens. That was what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the best of the best. Now, as a Red Sox fan, what I would have rather seen is Crochet pitch today like he did. I want Tolley to go Saturday against the Pirates, and I want May to go tomorrow. Let's throw May to the Wolves. Hey, if he pitches great, fantastic. If Skeens falters at all, hopefully our offense can get him. But, you're going to sort of go with the, the idea of it's like Crochet. He's going to go out. He's going to beat you anyway. So let's take our chances and let the kid face the Pirates offense, who is absolutely terrible. There's a very good chance that, he could go out tomorrow, totally that is, give up one run and lose this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he could go out on Saturday, give up 3 runs, and be able to go 5 without a problem because the Sox have put 10 on the board. That's kind of my concern here as far as how we want this kid to go. I'd like to think he's a competitor. It looks like he's done what he has to do throughout all the routines getting here, that he'll cherish this opportunity and won't falter. But again, I don't trust the people that are in charge making these decisions to say this is what's best for him.
See, that's my problem too. I just don't know if it's best for the organization or just best for John Henry's wallet. Um, I mean, the fact that you're going to have Paul Skeens in the house for the first time in his career in Fenway Park, first of all, I don't think that moment is too big for Paul Skeens. I'm not really concerned about it from that standpoint at all. What I am concerned about is that, if Tolley is the real deal and he is going to be a building block in this rotation for the next 5 or 6 seasons under control, it's just a really tough nut to crack, to put the squirrel analogy back in from Yankee Stadium, to be able to put him out there in this kind of environment instead of just having him go against the Orioles or, like you said, on Saturday or even Sunday, something like that. So either the Red Sox are brilliant or the Red Sox are freaking stupid. And I don't think there's an in between. So all I can say is, as a baseball fan and a Red Sox fan, I can't wait for first pitch. I really can't. But I worry about if this kid's got that kind of mental makeup already. I mean, if he's the Roman Anthony of a pitching staff, then I'm not going to worry about him. But if he's the Brian Bayo of 2 years ago, I got my concerns. And that's basically how I'm going to leave it on that. Next order of business, I want to talk about Trevor's story. And we've talked about it a little bit, so we won't spend a lot of time, but he's on his way to a 25-25 season. I mean, you look up and down the American and National League at shortstops, and can you believe that Trevor Story is one of the better shortstops in the league? How do you take that thought? Thayer, I'll start with you.
No, I can't believe it. It's that simple. He is really just playing extraordinarily well. He is, and when we say extraordinarily well, I'm going to say extraordinarily well for Trevor Story. He is not an iconic shortstop. He's not A-Rod, Nomar, Tejada. It is greatest. But you know what? He is doing everything that this team needs and more. He is playing well above what he's been doing before. He's playing well above our expectations. He is a professional who is really, and I know Nick, you sort of talk about it a lot, that he's doing what he needs to do on a more than regular basis for him. You know, the fact that he's in the lineup every day in and of itself is a major miracle, and I have to give him all the credit in the world for that, because as we've seen in the past, when he goes down defensively, everything changes. If he's in the lineup defensively, then at least from that standpoint, it's solidified. And that's not saying anything about his offense and what it is. He leads all shortstops, or at least it leads the Red Sox, but like 15 game-winning hits. Is that what I saw? I heard something crazy, and granted, it came from the radio. So when you're talking about Fleming, I don't necessarily if I trust him, everything he says all the time. But it was something obscene, like 15 game-winning hits or something like that this year, which is extraordinary.
Nick, similar question to you. I want to ask you, does Trevor Story opt out at the end of the season? We've talked about this on the pod before, just to kind of let our viewers understand the situation here. Trevor Story has 2 seasons left at $25 million each. That's $50 million owed by the Red Sox. If he opts out, the Red Sox can automatically trump that and opt him back in if they pick up the 2028 season. So the 2028 season is $30 million. If he opts out and he leaves, the Red Sox have a $5 million buyout after the second season of these 225. So you're talking 26 and 2027. So they are on the hook for $55 million if he stays. If they opt him in, another $30 million. Does he test the waters and go free agency?
I'm saying no. And the reason I'm saying no is because he knows what can happen over a long season here in baseball. He doesn't want to see a repeat of last season or the season prior. And I think Trevor Story knows that he found his home here in Boston, and the Red Sox are going to take care of him. I really do. I really feel strongly about that. Now, how do I feel on that? It is what it is. We all know that I'm not the biggest, I've never been the biggest Story guy. I will appreciate everything that he's done. And I will say right here, today, Trevor Story was your number one guy on why you won here today. Between defensive plays, your home run, Story's impact alone helped you to win this game today. 100%. I'm not taking that away from him. And I'm proud of him, honestly, for showing all of us that 2 seasons down the drain from the last 2, he can come back and he will be the AL Comeback Player of the Year. There is no question. We can hand deliver that trophy to him right now. That's how impactful he's been. But as Thayer and as well as you, Jim, you said, it's been his ability to be in the lineup every day. That is stunning for me. If you had told us to start this season that Trevor Story would be putting up the numbers he is right now and playing every day and being such a steady presence on this team, none of us would have said that. No way. 100% no. I was still clamming about a month ago until Marcelo Mayo got hurt that Marcelo Mayo was going to be my shortstop. That's just how I was. I thought May and June alone, I had enough of it, and I was ready to move on. And then July and August came, and he became that steady force in that lineup. I honestly don't have any problem with him staying in the 4 spot in this lineup. Considering what you got, that's what you need to do. And he's putting up professional at-bats. Thayer's point today with at least making contact and moving Roman Anthony along, that was huge. And if he can do that consistently, that's going to help you score runs and produce great plays and productive outs, which is what has been severely missing here for this team. Now, we still have a month to go. I think because Story's riding high, I think we're going to see a carryover here and see more of what we're seeing right now with Story. I just do. I think the confidence is there for him, the swagger's there. He knows how important he is to this team, and for a guy that we had so many concerns with coming into this season on what he actually was going to do, I'm very pleased. But I'll leave you with this. I still miss Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah. So Trevor Story in high leverage situations batting 273, one home run, 29 RBIs, an OPS of 688. In medium leverage situations, 271, 11 home runs, 31 RBIs, and an 808 on base OPS. And funny enough, in low leverage situations, 240, nine home runs, 23 RBIs, a 688 OPS. Point here is that he's been above average in pressure situations, which is what I think is the biggest difference between probably 5, 6, maybe 7 wins in the season, where Trevor Story of 24, 23, 22, he would have struck out in certain situations that he didn't this year, which led to maybe an RBI double or two run double or 2-run single, whatever that might be, to just at least turn that lineup to the next batter, and he wasn't an automatic out, is really what I'm trying to say. And I think if any one of us, and I've been a Story hate, I don't want to say the word hater. I don't hate anybody. I haven't been a Story fan, but a lot of it is because I thought he was a Colorado guy, and when he comes here and he's injured, I thought it was just another of a long line of mistakes of Red Sox ownership and management with bringing in players from other teams, having more concern with outsiders than their own kids. They treat outsiders better than their own kids. They let guys like Mookie go. We know all this. Devers, you know, Bogarts, Mo Vaughn. They let. I mean, for years. So the point I'm saying is that if you told me back in March, spring training, Trevor Story is going to be a 25-25 guy, play 100 and I don't know what 150 games, and bat 270 in high leverage situations, and I would have said you're out of your mind. As far as the next 2 years,
It would have
yeah.
laughed in your
As
face.
far as the next 2 years, however, if you can tell me he's going to be a 20-25 guy in 26 and 27, I'll take it. And I actually want him here. It's that simple. Um, Go ahead, Nick.
The one thing, too, the reason why you do want him here is you have such a big question mark
You.
now with what the hell happens with
It's not
Marcelo
just
Mar. That's the one thing that sticks out now like a sore thumb, is that maybe when Marcelo Meyer got elevated, you had thought that he may be taking over at short at some point down the line. Now, you have no idea what's going to happen with that. So you need consistency and something steady to
Nick.
remain
It's
at
not just
shortstop.
him. It's what they're going to do with Bregman too. They can't afford to lose. They can't afford to let Bregman walk and then Story on top of it walk, or they are in a deep hole, a deep hole, and they won't be able to climb out of that. Trying to squander the whole entire offseason trying to replace those two guys. So they better hope things change really, really quickly. The other thing I'll just say on Story, and then I'm done with him. He's a professional baseball player. You got a lot of athletes on the major leagues. Jarren Duran's an athlete, but he's a baseball player. He's like Bregman. He's a guy you kind of enjoy watching because he plays baseball. More on that another time. Moving right along. Aroldis Chapman is having probably the best season of his career at 37, 38 years of age. If he continues down this road, he might actually have an ERA under 1 if this continues with his outings. Nick, I'll start with you. Does he deserve to be thought of in the Cy Young consideration? I mean, I know everybody talks about Scooble and everybody talks about Crochet. What about Chappie?
Absolutely, he does deserve consideration. And you know why? Because 2003, a player by the name of Eric Gagne got that award. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that's when it was. He had, what was his career? I got his stats up here now. He had 55 saves. His earned run average was at, let's see if I can find it here. He was at 1.20. He had 77 games. He had, how many strikeouts did he have? 137 strikeouts. Only gave up 2 home runs, 12 hits, 37 hits, excuse me, and 12 runs on the year. You're getting into that that territory right now where it's got to be heavily considered. But here's the thing: that means that it would overlap a Garrett Crochet, and I don't know if I want to do that. And then there's also the consideration of our guy from Detroit, Tarek Struble. So that's another name that's right there. So I think we have 3 names right now that are deserving of the Cy Young Award right there. I do. I just feel like this is just historic on what Aroldis Chapman is doing. It reminds me again so much of 2013 Koji. Red Sox had no. I actually let's go back to the off season. There was so much criticism of Chapman coming in, and I think there were a lot of question marks here on if he was even going to be the closer. I think a lot of people said, "Oh, forget that. It's going to be Justin Slayton." Or watch out, Garrett Whitlock will be there, or maybe Tanner Houck will go into that role. And all Chapman's done is just proven everybody wrong. I know a big player that was a big criticizer of the move was who's the guy on Mad Dog? Mad Dog Russo. They were playing that a little bit. Chris Russo, and he said, "Oh, you're gonna hate him. You're gonna hate him." The Yankees hated him. He was a stiff. Well, maybe Chapman just didn't like the Yankees, and maybe the Red Sox actually do have some sort of a fundamental program with their pitching lab that's able to fix some of these guys. Because again, control, Chapman was always shaky, always gave up the walks, and it was always kind of walking that tightrope. This season, it has been just perfection. You couldn't ask for anything more than the steady force of what Chapman's done. And it's in consideration now of one of the best closing seasons we've seen for a Red Sox between Papelbon, Koji, Keith Folk, 2004. Let's not forget about that because that was special too. And then Chapman here. So all those guys right there and putting that together, it's amazing. And we should be very grateful for what we have.
Thayer, your reactions to Chapman deserving some Cy Young consideration?
Without a doubt, he deserves consideration. He's not going to win it, unfortunately. Well, I don't want to say unfortunately. It's going to be Crochet or Scooble, one of the two of them. To Nick, your point, when Gagne won it, there really were no other National League starting pitchers that had massive years. That tends to be what happens when relievers win the Cy Young. They have to have a monster year, and they have to have really no starting pitching competition because really it comes down to it. And I don't think he's going to get it simply because of the lack of saves that he has. A lot of his work is really because of the Red Sox and their inability to score. He's coming in to tie games, and he's holding it down and locking down his inning, sending it into extra innings, and that's when the Red Sox vomit all over themselves and lose those games. So he's been outstanding. He deserves consideration without question. I was definitely one of the people that when we signed him, I wasn't jubilant about it. I didn't expect him to be what he is. I'm like, all right. I honestly thought that they signed him to a 1-year contract because they were simply doing it because they wanted to trade him at the trade deadline. Mm-hmm. It was they signed him because, we'll get him for $10 million. We'll trade him at the trade deadline because we're not going to be what we think we're going to be anyway. And maybe we'll get a young pitcher for him. So he's done exceptionally well. And I can't say anything negative about him at all.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's been involved in some extreme trades, right? He was involved in Glaber Torres when Theo Epstein acquired him in the trade that sent Torres to the Yankees, and also with the Royals. They wound up getting their ace pitcher in a trade that involved Chapman as well. Um, Last thing before we close, go over some chats. Um, Eric Giorgio, a listener. Rob Refschneider is a professional hitter and very much needed. Absolutely. Again, probably one of the best, number fourth outfielders in the game, in my opinion. Also comes back and says, I don't know about that. I think you sell more tickets with Crochet and Skeens. I think that was the better matchup personally, Eric. It is what it is. It's what the Red Sox are doing, but yeah, I would have liked to see that matchup myself. Um, and he also writes in they can't lose in their Fenway greens. I don't know. Are they wearing their? Are they wearing the green tomorrow? Are
Of
they
course
doing that
they will.
tomorrow? Yeah. Well, that means they got it. Yeah, so
I
they've got
wouldn't
a
be
ninth
surprised.
inning victory tomorrow. So, look, if it's going to be a 1-0, like Thayer said, maybe they do pull that off. Eric also mentioned John Lester, also another great name, and then a little bit on Hamilton as well. So let's move on to our next and final segment, which is our dugout dipshits.
And now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, the Dugout Dipshits.
And Dugout Dipshits is brought to you by Fenway's Lost and Found, home to 3 left shoes, a bucket of chicken fingers, and the last shred of Yankee fan pride. Stop by today and pick up what's missing, assuming Steve Lyons hasn't claimed it already. So we're going to talk about our dugout dipshits. Jared Carabas had a tweet today talking about the Red Sox having the second best record in the American League since the Rafael Devers trade. Chris Savage had mentioned that takes like this tell me the reason you have a job with NESN is because you push a storyline Henry and company want you to. I agreed with it, and we had some backlash on that. We had Roman Anthony Stan say, "What the F are you two idiots talking about?" And, unfortunately, I guess he didn't understand because it was written in English. Moving right along, Dunning Kruger, I guess it's Freddie's brother. I don't know. This is it's always someone that has truth seeker or a professor of harsh reality in their bio that gets upset when people mention facts. It is a fact, but you have to go through a little bit more and realize that was there a meaning behind him putting that out there and not just a simple fact alone. So I says, yeah, it's a good one. He says, no, it isn't. It's embarrassing, and you should be ashamed of yourself. I don't know what there is to be ashamed about, but the truth hurts. I don't know what to tell you. So that's our dugout dipshits for the day. Final word from you guys. Your final takes there. I'll start with you. Obviously, maybe a little bit of what you think is going to happen in this Pirates series starting tomorrow. Just to kind of give everybody a little preview here. We've got obviously Skeens tomorrow, and then on Saturday the schedule is looking at Dustin May against Oviedo, and then Giolito against Keller. Johan Oviedo is 1-0 with a 3.60 ERA. And Mitch Keller, who we were kind of looking to see if we could maybe acquire at the trade deadline, 6-12 with a 4.35.
We have to win this series. There's no question. There's no doubt. When you come off of a 7-1 trip like they just went through, and you're playing a team that is not very good at all, that struggles offensively, Paul Skeens or not, you have to win this series. So I'll give him the Skeens game, maybe, but they don't win a lot of his games. So the key is to keep that game close and then get at their bullpen. As Nick was saying, offensively, we have to do more. We have to do more than just hit home runs. We have to be productive, but Anything less than 2-3 is an absolute loss and, an unacceptable result for this series.
Nick, your takes on the Pittsburgh series, and what do you think the outcome will be? Your predictions.
I'm going to be bold and daring in my predictions here for this series upcoming. And here it is. The Red Sox will sweep the Pittsburgh Pirates this weekend. I think tomorrow is going to be one of those hype games. Obviously, you have Paul Skeens going up, but we've seen some interesting things. Remember, the Red Sox hit Tarek Struble in Detroit. That was one of the best pitchers in the league. I think the Red Sox will end up coming home feeling good about themselves from the sweep, carry that momentum over, and I think it's going to propel this team to get a sweep here. I'm a little most concerned on the Dustin May start on for Saturday, just because you never know what you're going to get. You could get something of a 6-inning, 2 runs or less from him, or he could just lose it and lose control, lose focus, and it turns into a bullpen game. So that's the main one I'm actually most concerned with is the Saturday game, and then Giolito I think will be perfectly fine for Sunday. But I am going to call it. It's a bold decision and a bold choice, but I'm calling a sweep. The offense is going to start to click coming back home to Fenway, and my player to watch this weekend for the offense will be Alex Bregman, because Bregman had a very tough series against the Orioles. I think a little home cooking is going to do him well, and I think that we'll see a resurgence series for him coming back to Fenway.
So a little bit on Paul Skeens, just to kind of wet your whistle a little bit. In games where he has allowed no earned runs, he did not lose. Sounds like, duh. But the reality is that he's either had a no decision or he has a victory. The reason why I'm bringing this up, he's got 9 losses on the season. In those losses, 5 earned runs, 2 earned runs, 3 earned runs, 2 earned runs, 1 earned run, 1 earned run, 4 earned runs, 2 earned runs, 4 earned runs. So that's what you're seeing with the 9 losses. Obviously, if he gives up 3 or more, you've got a great shot of winning that ball game. If they don't score, that's why I kind of brought up the 0. Or if they give up, if they only score 1 run, it's going to be a very long night. So if they can get 3 on the board or more, I think they've got a really good shot at winning game 1. And then you'd have to have a lot of confidence in them being able to sweep that series regardless of what happens in the Dustin May start. And Giolito, I've got a lot of confidence in him now. So there should be no reason. So I'm picking 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3. If they can score enough off Skeens and they win game 1, then I think they can sweep. That's all we got for tonight, folks. Have a great night. Also, too, if you've got a moment and you're not a subscriber, please go to our website at redsoxdigest.com. We've got daily articles featuring the games that were played the night before, pretty much written every night. Thayer's doing his Fenway flashback, which is showcasing the 1975 season, and Nick has yet to write an article. I'm only teasing.
I'll get busy.
I know. During the off season, maybe. In any event, we will see you tomorrow night. So we will go ahead and give all our reactions to the matchup with Tolley and Skeens. It should be an interesting show. We'll have that right after the game. So please tune in to us tomorrow night. Have a good night, everybody.